Welcome to Build Your Dream Network. I'm Kelly Hoey. I see people struggling to connect effectively all the time, so I created this podcast to help you master your network building needs. Whether you're seeking a new job, looking for a promotion, or scaling your business, you need a network, and you're in the right place to get the advice you need. And don't worry, my advice is real, it's actionable and practical because it's the advice I follow and is what has transformed my career from the traditional to the unexpected. So let's get started. This episode of the podcast is focused on networking quick fixes. I want to start this podcast by addressing resumes and specifically how to approach retooling the description of work experience on a resume when you're trying to shift careers, as the last thing you want when you're making a career pivot to something new is to have someone forward you job leads that lead you right back to the type of job you already have. This is a resume rewrite I've had to do, back in the day, as we say, when I was a corporate attorney and decided I'd rather be managing the careers of other attorneys than working on billion-dollar deals. More recently, I've been sought out for career-switching tips by corporate finance types who are seeking to move into roles in startups. After the resume quick fix discussion, I'm going to quickly answer a bunch of networking questions that have come in. This will be rapid-fire Q&A, short answers, no lengthy debate, just the networking solutions as I see them. First, let's tackle resume rewrites. In either scenario I previously mentioned, whether that is staying in your current industry but in another function or capacity, or taking your talents into a brand new industry, your resume needs a redraft so the network you're handing it to will understand and value the skills along with the work experience you're bringing to the table. The Build Your Dream Network bottom line is this: hiring managers, headhunters, and recruiters need to see what you've done before as being applicable to what they are seeking today. In my own case, my attorney resume listed and highlighted responsibilities associated with client work. Reflecting back on it now, it was more of a brag sheet than anything else. It listed and included the names and value of as many of the public deals I'd been a part of that could be squeezed, reasonably squeezed that is, onto 2 pages. There is no way I could circulate that resume around to recruiters. The management role I was seeking didn't give a hoot about any of those client details. So here's what I did, and I want to suggest that you use my example as a roadmap for revisiting your own resume. I flipped my resume to raise the profile of my contributions to law firm operations as a mentor, project manager, people manager, the so-called soft skills of the job, and to tone down the billion-dollar deal stuff. For each law firm employer, I listed the soft skills and non-billable contributions first. From participating in recruiting efforts, to committee roles, to client marketing initiatives, to conducting training programs. All of this secondary work stuff became the primary focus of my resume, and for each role, there was also a very brief description of the legal transactions I worked on. I highlighted the people or soft skills, as these were the skills and experiences valued by firms in members of their management teams. These were the traits listed in job descriptions I had reviewed. Hey, it's not that my corporate attorney experience was irrelevant, but it sort of was during the job seeking, application, and screening phase of the job hunt process. So before you toss aside the listing for a dream job you feel you're not qualified for, or sign up for a class because you're under the illusion you lack qualifications, take a good, hard look at the resume you're circulating. Is it written for the job you had or the career you want to be pursuing? Are you using language in your resume that is reflective of the role you're seeking? Have you brought to the forefront work experiences that mirror the tasks and responsibilities of that future career. Double-check your resume as currently drafted by comparing it to the job description for a role you'd like to have. And don't assume the recruiter or hiring manager will make the logical leap that your past experience is relevant. Lead them there in the description of your work experience. Remember that work experiences don't just include your primary job description duties. It includes the committees you've been a member of, meetings you've chaired, speeches you've written, events you've planned, plus all the feedback delivered, mentoring hours. You get the picture. All of those contributions are valuable, meaningful learning and leading experiences, and could for you, just like for me, fuel a career change. If your current employment situation doesn't provide you with opportunities to showcase your talents in a different function, now I'm really thinking about the scenario where someone may want to pack up their skills and move into an entirely different industry, then research where you can do that. Let's just say you want to work for a startup and you're currently in a corporate finance role. Can you mentor regularly at a startup accelerator or incubator? Could you join the advisory board of a startup? Organize a meetup? Judge hackathons? Think about the ways you can lend your knowledge within the context of the industry you desire to be in. Seek out or create those opportunities. Get involved and include these details in the next draft of your resume. Okay, so for this next phase of the podcast and the networking quick fixes, and for a change of pace on the podcast, we've got some fast answers to some recent networking queries. And to make this kind of, maybe more game show, I have pulled Pat, my trusted engineer, out of his seat.
Hello.
And Pat is going to ask the questions. So it kind of does feel like a game show, doesn't it, Pat?
All right, here we go. First question. Is it ever too late to reach out to someone you've worked with or met?
No, there is no expiry date on relationships unless you've been a jerk. Then the sad reality is you didn't have a connection that you can reliably call upon today.
All right, second question. What's a good icebreaker to use when you meet someone new?
If you want a mechanical conversation, Pat, go talk to Siri or Alexa. When it comes to chatting with another person, there is not a one-size-fits-all way to start a dialogue.
All right, third question. What's the worst question to ask during an informational interview?
There's lots of bad questions, but number one on my list is, tell me about your career. You should have been able to find an answer to that question before you ask for an informational interview. So I'd say to someone, do your research and ask a better question.
Nice. All right. Fourth question. Should I delete my social networking profiles before applying for jobs?
No, but I would change or check your privacy settings. If you have some worries that someone may find, certain pictures you might want to, or posts, you might want to re-examine what you're sharing online with your friends and followers.
Right, will do. Fifth question. How do you build a large network?
Pat, you do that one relationship at a time.
All right, wish it was easier than that. Sixth question. How do you become an influencer within a network?
Okay, Pat, in my humble opinion, you don't set out to become an influencer. You set out to share useful content with the intent of being helpful to others.
Right, will do. Last question. How could you demonstrate leadership skills to show that you're ready to take on a leadership role when it's perceived that you lack relevant work experience?
That's a great question to end this episode on. Here's my advice. Volunteer for a community service project, particularly one where you'll be demonstrating the skills you'll need for the leadership role you're vying for, such as managing a large team of volunteers or handling the finances or reaching a funding target. That was fun, Pat. Thanks for helping me out. And that's the Networking Quick Fixes. We'll see you back here next week for more networking guidance. Thank you for listening to Build Your Dream Network. Stay connected and don't miss a networking insight by subscribing to the podcast. And while you're there, I'd love you to rate and review the show too. Are you looking for more networking advice? Pick up a copy of my book, Build Your Dream Network. It's your guide to modern networking. I'd like to hear your networking questions, tips, and ideas. Connect with me via my website, jkellyhoey.co. You'll find links to all my social media accounts, plus a contact form to email me your questions. I'm Kelly Hoey, and I'll be back again next week to tackle your networking challenges.